So we're going to talk about a few learning strategies, and this is not a really great list. It's one of the reasons why we do the Make It Stick book, because I am not really satisfied with this chapter of the book, but we'll get through it anyway. Anyways, well, some of the most really important things is if, with any of these strategies is you got to do it on purpose. It's not all about just really trying to do just go in and do it, but do it on purpose. Make a plan. Have some ideas and try some different things. Some of the things about this, so like being engaged, you can't, just running your eyes over things or passively doing something is not really going to help you. So just watching these videos probably doesn't help you nearly very much as it does to actually be looking at the book and answering questions and looking at other material, even though that the stuff from the book is what you're going to be tested over. So focusing your attention, investing effort, building some connections, organize some things, draw a picture or two, and we'll talk about that. And regulate and say, well, that worked well, ooh, that was terrible. That didn't work well at all. So these are some kind of overall ideas that you need to do that'll kind of hopefully help make your learning strategies better. And so so this is all about improving these things. So and some other principles related to it. So some strategies work for just about anything. Other ones are more domain specific. So there's not as many practice problems in some classes as there are in others. And whereas some things might work for anything, like flashcards or something like that. You obviously got to be motivated, and we're going to talk about motivation more later on in this chapter. And you got to have some belief in yourself and that kind of thing, and a lot of that's going to be important. But so here's some examples, things like learning how to focus your attention, finding main ideas, deciding what you think is important, and that may be really hard. Better probably to decide what you think the instructor thinks is important. And maybe even could be about designing the environment that you use to study and learn in. Creating a summary, so taking the words from things that you're reading and building a summary so that you can show that you have a good understanding of it. It can also be good to keep you from plagiarizing if you're writing a paper. Be careful about underlining and highlighting. Sometimes, I don't know, for a lot of students, it's really they're just coloring. You're not actually learning anything if you're just color coding your book. And the studies that I've seen finds that overall, usually highlighting does not work. The only people that it worked for in the study one of the studies that I read was people that hate it, and people who highlighted as little as possible. I had a professor that made us highlight the most important sentence off of every page, and I felt like that actually improved. That was helpful and made me really think critically. Obviously, taking notes during lectures. I think this kind of depends on you. Some people it really does help focus their attention. Some people it distracts them. But it does, so especially if you're in that limited working memory group like this talks about. But also if, sometimes I'm rather like have your eyes, like here, actually look at me, as opposed to people who are focused on their paper. And so that's kind of but most studies do show that taking notes is a good thing. Other visual tools sometimes can be helpful, so maybe making a concept map. This is some type of just visual representation of what you're learning. Just can be helpful to make you connect different things, and so it just seems to be helpful in transferring knowledge and remembering things. Maybe not the best. I mean, there are some softwares you can get to do that, but you can also use paper and pencil. All of these are types of things like a timeline, which can be really helpful in looking at a sequence. And so these can be helpful, not end all be all. And one of the things that's not mentioned here is what's called a graphic organizer, which is just mostly just a table that helps compare things. But it can really building a good table can really help you to compare and contrast things in a more visual way. So next video we'll talk about applying some of these things, and before we're done, we are going to talk about some of the better ways that and go back over that top 10 list that we talked about at the beginning.